Hello and happy Tuesday, everybody. Coming up tonight on News Center Now. Snow, rain, sleet, yuck. We got a lot of it.
There is a ski instructor, by the way, that we're talking to who loves the snow, and he's giving back to his community.
And would you be able to bury your loved ones yourself? Turns out it's not illegal in our state. We'll explain.
This is News Center Now.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to News Center Now. I'm all choked up because I'm so excited about today. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. I'm not choked up. I don't know what's going on with him. But you know, we've had this, it's the same old song and dance. We keep playing it all winter. And it's happening again. Some communities have seen mainly rain. Some have seen snow. Either way, it's a mess.
Now, there is a place where specifically where it's supposed to be snowing, which is Freiburg. So we sent Tori Ryan there to check it out and maybe go skiing, but now it's more like water skiing for Tori. Yeah, look at her.
I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a facial. It's just rain, dewy rain coming down on my face. I have two words, Keith Carson and that truck. Keith Carson. What happened? It's supposed to be snowing out here. Josh Bradford and I drove all the way to the White Mountains, no kidding, in search of snow and nary a flake. So it's about 36 degrees here in Freiburg. We're very disappointed. We had hoped to go skiing today, as you mentioned, and nothing. Nothing.
She's just like,
looks
seriously,
so happy.
she is so annoyed. Okay, so like Ricky Ricardo used to say to Lucille Ball, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. Keith, you have some splaining to do.
You know what's funny is Tori is the first and only person I've heard from today who is complaining that the snow didn't materialize in that part of the state. But yeah, there's no doubt the storm has turned out warmer by about a degree than anticipated, and that's all that it took. Let me show you something really interesting. Let me show you the radar of where Tori is standing, and the radar believes it to be snow, and I've seen a lot of that today. Remember, this radar is an algorithm that it uses to determine rain and snow, so it thinks it's snowing. Obviously, the ground truth is such that that is not the case. We've seen a lot of that. Far northern Maine, Jackman, into the mountains, Eustis, they are seeing snow, getting reports from mainly ski resorts who like it, of course, that it is snowing. Meanwhile, rain down across southern coastal Maine. That part was anticipated, but again, that rain-snow line is nowhere near where it appears to be. It's nowhere near 95. It is much to the north and west of that right now. So tonight, we kind of continue with this theme, rain along the coastline, a little bit of snow in the foothills and the mountains. My feeling is it will actually accumulate a little bit more this evening as temperatures drop to 32, 33, which is really what you need to get efficient snowfall. And then it moves out over down East Maine through tomorrow morning with a little light snow. After that, it is clearing out. But guys, still a nasty day out here. We've got a major rainstorm on the way for Thursday night, Friday. That could have some flooding implications. So I'll be back in a few minutes to talk about that.
Yep, already recruiting people to stand in my basement and stop all the water from coming in. Okay, well, that's great, Keith, thanks. Hey, remember the picture that we showed you of the car flipped over? It was stranded in Buxton. It's been shared now almost 2,400 times. It's got a caption saying that a man fled the scene and he left his pregnant passenger behind.
That was a big talker. Now Buxton and State Police are looking for that man. Katie, you broke this case and have been following it now for the last week.
Yeah, it's been a pretty bizarre case. And you may remember we first spoke with witnesses in the crash. Now police want to locate who they say is the driver. Take a good look at him. Christopher Levesque is 23 years old and from Hollis. Now police won't say whether charges are pending because the crash is still under investigation. But if you've seen him, you should call the number. We have that on our website. Call Buxton Police or Maine State Police. Now police also identified the pregnant passenger as 19-year-old Shelby Jackson, also of Hollis. They say she initially lied to them and told them she was the one behind the wheel. Now, when I asked the police chief if Shelby would be charged, he wouldn't say, but he did tell me this.
I would encourage people to understand this. Now, whether or not this is a loved one that's breaking the law, when you take matters into your own hand and try to cover up for that loved one, that just turns bad both ways, because you can be held accountable for your actions by hindering an apprehension just as much as the person that committed the crime.
Now, as for why Levesque would run away from the scene, Chief Klein tells me he had 2 outstanding warrants for his arrest and a suspended license at the time of the crash. Jess and, Jess, Amanda's there, and Lee. I don't know who I'm talking about here. The party's here.
She just gave away the surprise.
Took away her element.
There goes the big reveal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because we're about to introduce Jess. If you love the nightlife, you will love a new bill that is being discussed in Augusta. Representative Wayne Perry of Arundel submitted a bill that would allow cities and towns that have their own police departments to actually extend the current closing time to 2 a.m. if they decided to do so locally.
It's got you talking. In fact, right now, Mark says bars are open late enough. I don't see any advantage. Well, we sent Jess, who shockingly is here, to go bar hopping for us today and get to the bottom of this.
Don't I wish? No, I'm just kidding. What I did take a look at was the comments that you were talking about. There were 200 and counting at last check, which was interesting, and they were pretty evenly split. So take a look at these examples. Dana says, really? Why does anyone want to go out drinking that late? It's getting ridiculous. Go home and drink and keep yourself and others safe. But on the flip side, Andrew says that Maine is one of only 3 states in the country that ends drinking at 1. I say let them spend their money. Now, Andrew, we looked into that stat that you threw out there, and according to stateliquorlaws.com, you were right on. Maine, Delaware, and Utah were the only states listed there that had a strict statewide cutoff time of 1 a.m. for everyone. Other states also have last calls listed as 1 a.m., but they make exceptions. For example, in Rhode Island, bars in Providence can stay open until 2 on Friday and Saturday. And in Nebraska, bars in that state, in 2 biggest cities, which are Omaha and Lincoln, they can also have extended hours. So would this be a good change for Maine businesses? Some owners in Portland think there is a benefit to it. Grady's has been in the Old Port for almost 29 years, and owner Robert Pfeffer says tourists that visit in the summertime from places like New York are always amazed by the early closing times in Maine.
In the summer, we'll have more business. It'll generate more revenues. In the winter, it won't matter an awful lot. It's only about how much business there is. In the summer, there'll be plenty of business, and people will be out later.
Pfeffer also said that in his experience, if a bar stays open later, people tend to arrive at it later, and because they only want to go out for a certain amount of time. But the proposed change did not sit well with local police officials. News Center spoke with the chief in South Portland, Edward Googans, who says extending the time gives irresponsible people more time to be irresponsible. And Chief Janine Roberts in Westbrook told us a change would force her to shift resources and could lead to an increase in OUIs. Now, again, it's important to remember that this bill would make it a community's choice to allow bars to serve alcohol later. It is not a statewide mandate. Now, interestingly, New Hampshire passed a law in 2013 saying cities and towns had the power to change closing times to 2 a.m. And I spoke with the acting chief of the New Hampshire Division of Liquor Enforcement and Licensing, and he says that happened 4 years ago, and no one in the community has requested to opt in since then. So that happened in 2013. If your town wants to do it, you can. No towns have come forward. Only a few establishments, they said they've changed things, like on New Year's Eve. They've extended to 2 o'clock, but no town has come forward to do this, and they've been able to for 4 years.
Well, and as you mentioned, a lot of people talking about this. While you were talking, Roger says, as somebody who worked over 20 years in the industry, it's a bad idea. And Kathy says later drinking equals more drunk driving. So a lot of people with a lot of opinions about this. Yeah. All right, Jess, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, it's never easy for families to talk about death, but what if you could keep the funeral expenses down by dealing with it yourself?
That's what one man in Maine decided to do with his own wife. Hear more about his experience next on Now. Welcome back. So yesterday we told you about a bill in the legislature to allow physician-assisted suicide in Maine, what supporters call death with dignity. The issue is clearly controversial. In Augusta today, opponents of the bill held a quick press conference to talk about what they see as serious problems with the idea of assisted suicide. They brought a woman named Stephanie Packer from California who's been fighting a death with dignity law in that state. Packer said dealing with her own illness has shown her the bad side of that law.
It really does quite a bit of harm to the doctor-patient relationship. And if you have a person that is trying to initially come to terms with their disease and also their prognosis. To have someone in front of you that you have entrusted your life to possibly suggest that the best option for you would be to take your own life, that's it's pretty traumatic and extremely sad.
The sponsor of the bill, Senator Roger Cates, also talked about that bill today and brought people battling illness who support the idea of assisted suicide. Both sides face off on the issue at a public hearing in Augusta. That's tomorrow. By the way, death is a sensitive topic and it can certainly be difficult to talk about, but it's important to prepare for the death of a loved one.
Believe it or not, in Maine, you're not legally required to go through a funeral home for any part of the funeral process. Chuck Lakin is a home funeral educator from Waterville, and when his wife of 44 years died a few months ago in their home, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He handled everything from caring for her body to building her coffin and had a memorial service at a natural cemetery in Orrington. He says he doesn't knock funeral homes, but does want people to learn about alternatives to conventional funerals.
The bereavement process, in my experience, is greatly shortened because you've been saying goodbye for a couple of days instead of call a funeral director who arrives promptly and takes the body away, puts him in a bag and on a gurney and takes the body away, and the next time you see it is gussied up and for a couple of hours at a visitation.
We'll have much more on his approach to an unconventional funeral coming up tonight on News Center at 6 o'clock.
Very interesting.
All right, deputies say that a Maine man has admitted to killing 2 cats with his bare hands, which is ridiculously disturbing.
Adrienne Stein joins us with more news now.
Yeah, raising some eyebrows to say the very least on this one. A man from Greene allegedly told investigators he used his martial arts skills to kill the animals. Deputies say Michael Herman was watching the cats for a neighbor and killed the cats because his daughter is allergic. He's now charged with aggravated animal cruelty and is out on bail. The governor says welfare recipients aren't showing up for drug tests. They're required for some welfare recipients with prior convictions. In about 2 years' time, just 23 people have been tested, 12 passed. Now, our viewer, Adrienne Hunter, has a question about this. She wants to know, how much money did we spend on 12 people? The short answer, according to DHHS, one test cost $62. So, Adrienne, the answer is $744. That does not, by the way, include any costs associated with a no-show. You may know that LePage does want to ban welfare for felony drug convicts. This just in, by the way, Senator Angus King says he will oppose Judge Neil Gorsuch's nomination for the Supreme Court. That came in a statement from his office late this afternoon. And Senator King, by the way, does now have a challenger in the next election. State Senator Eric Brakey threw his hat into the ring today. Brakey was first elected to his seat in 2014. He was just 26 years old at the time, making him the youngest state senator in the nation. Guys, back to you.
All right, Adrienne, thank you very much. Looks like we've got another storm heading our way this week. Noah's Ark type rain. Casey, we'll talk about it.
Not a chance, Keith. Date and spell your name for me, if you don't mind.
Gianpresto Giovanni, Alfonso Ignacio Premplicio Collier-Gardi Pomptonowski III. I can't spell it.
Or more simply, to quote Monty Python, there are some who call him Tim. Timothy LaValle is 71 years young and retired 10 years ago, but he just can't seem to quit skiing. A friend of his reached out to us here at Now to share the story of this inspirational Mainer. He's got quite a resume.
I already love this guy. The former Winthrop football player turned skier, then coach eventually of the U.S. ski team, no big deal, is back home. And he's helping to raise new generations of racers, no matter their background, completely volunteering his time and his expertise.
Somebody once asked me, what do you do for work? And I said, I didn't work. I don't work. With very few exceptions, I loved what I did. And if you love what you do, it really is never work. Just remember one thing, if you decide to get in trouble, just don't use my name, okay? My football coach and my ski coach impacted my life greatly. They set something for me that I wanted to emulate. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be better than them. When I've been up here, did I ever show you the knuckle dragger?
I don't.
Okay, hey, listen, you're going to love this one. I started my coaching career really when I was still at Plymouth. Graduated, my high school football coach got me a job at Telstar. There was a job that opened up at Oxford Hills High School. So I went down there for 2 years. The job opened at Gould Academy, and so I went to Gould. I was there for 4 years. And I announced to him, all of a sudden, the ski team offered me an opportunity to go with them. Probably every coach's dream is to be a coach for the U.S. ski team. You know, you're around the best kids in the world. It was a tremendous opportunity.
At this stage, I think in his career, he's to a point where he's given back. And he's working with the kids he knows from his hometown, and he's working with any kid that wants to work. He's volunteered to help with weight training, on-hill coaching, just comes over. And sometimes he brings a few kids that he's been working with out of Winthrop, and they'll mix in with my kids, and everybody has a great time. And you can see the reverence of all my kids when they hear him talking.
Good job, man. Good job.
He's intense with a passion, and he's kept that passion, and now it's brought in a lot of athletes that wouldn't get the opportunities that they have now to further their career in racing or their love of racing without him.
If somebody could say it's the only thing that they're good at, it's probably the only thing that I'm any good at all. I can't drive a nail straight. You're going to drag your inside hand, but you want to keep the angle. I'll do it as long as I'm healthy and I can do it, you know, and I'm having fun. As long as I'm having fun, why not? And it's what I like to do.
As long as you're still having fun, why not?
Absolutely.
Hey, if you think someone in your community is making a difference and you want us to profile them, just reach out to us on social media. Hashtag AskNow.
Hashtag messy day.
Yeah, you're
true. It's not too nice out.
You're
but
not so
nobody
loved
seems
this week.
Yeah, but nobody seems to. They were more upset when they thought it was going to be a bigger snowstorm,
Right.
for the most part, other than the 5%.
A lot of broken snow blowers, though, it sounds like, from that last
really heavy stuff.
storm.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this storm up, then we get a rainstorm coming after that, which is really exciting for Lee's basement. Contractors out there, you might want to shoot them a quote for a basement fix at some point. Here it is. As we talked about before, a lot of this that's being depicted as snow is not snow. The radar algorithm is getting it wrong this time, so the rain snow line's way back here in the foothills into the mountains. Otherwise, it is rain. Whole lot more moisture through tonight, but again, that will be rain along the coastline and for much of the interior, and it will be snow across the mountains and foothills. We may see a little collapse of the actual snow line later tonight that will try to get into the mid-coast and down east as temperatures cool overnight to 32, 33. So don't sleep on this across down east Maine, where we could pick up a quick inch or two on the back end Wednesday morning. By Wednesday midday, the storm is out of here. I don't think we're going to see much sunshine tomorrow, though, just drying conditions through tomorrow afternoon. After that, we don't get much of a break because our rainstorm arrives Thursday midday, and it is just ripping rain Thursday night. Inside runner way to the west. This is rain for everyone. Maybe a quick freezing rain signature in the mountains and then right over to rain. Rain heavy Thursday night, Friday morning, and then through around Friday 10 or 11 a.m. before that storm moves out. Take into account the fact that about a ½ inch of this moisture is from today's storm, but still widespread amounts of 1.25 to 1.5 inches of rain. So with snow on the ground in some places, ice jams, we're going to have some flooding problems here. National Weather Service has hoisted flood watches for almost all of New England, and these will creep into Maine. My guess is after they cancel the winter storm warnings for this storm. Not all bad news, though. I really like the signal for Monday and Tuesday of next week. Blowtorch out of the south and west. I'd say 55 is the absolute minimum. 60 is a really good bet. And 70, there's a chance on Tuesday we could get to 70. I threw that up on Facebook, guys, and I got some doubters. I got some people who were like, the other stations out saying that. I was like, I don't care. I don't care what they do.
You don't care at all.
You are your own man.
They do them. I do me. Nice either way. Sunday's really nice, by the way. Monday is gorgeous. All of those days are nice. I'm just interested to see if we can get to 70, but I'd say 60s are a good bet, and maybe a coast versus inland thing on the 70.
Okay, listen, no need to watch other stations.
Yeah.
We got you right here.
I think that's well documented.
Right.
All right, we're back with even more, Keith, in a minute.
All right, today's brainstorm. Last week, in the middle of our snowstorm prediction, Scott Pruitt, who's the new head of the EPA, denied a ban that was supposed to take place for this pesticide called chlorpyrifos. And chlorpyrifos is a dangerous chemical. Now, this website talks about it, and you say, well, maybe it's just a biased website, right? So let's go to the NPR and see what the NPR has to say about it. And NPR is pretty middle of the road, right, for the most part. Their own evidence that this causes developmental issues in children, those that are not born and those that are born, if they handle this chemical that's being used on a lot of different produce. Okay, but maybe you don't believe the NPR. Who knows in today's day and age? How about this? EPA's official website, their own study, in which they found, to quote them, that based on current uses, the analysis indicates that expected residues on food crops exceed the safety standard. This assessment shows risks to workers as well who mix this stuff. So just the facts out there. He denied this ban that was supposed to take place, and science marginalized once again.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, by the way. 5:30 coming up next.
I know, sorry.